Hi, I'm Gubby from iseekblinds. Today we're at my house. I moved into this house about 7 months ago, I think, Charlotte?
Yeah.
And we installed the Australian-made Plantation Shutters, and my daughter Charlotte helped me do that. She's our little handy person around the house, so she loves to help me. So thanks for that, Charlotte. I wanted to show you some before and after photos of this house and take you through the exact styles of window coverings that I've done here. There's lots of Plantation Shutters, but we've got some double roller blinds to show you, and it's a beautiful Mystique sheer curtain at the back. So let's come inside and let's have a look. So this is my master bedroom, and this is the front window here. Now this layout, there are 3 panels here, and there is a little Plantation Shutter that I did in these little corner windows here. So this is a layout number G, and Kylie's done these layout charts for you which help you match the best layout of Plantation Shutter that's going to fit in your window. Hey Bob, what I do in the morning is just open up these blades here because I had to be courteous to the window that was here. The window, as you can see, does have this timber rail here, so I wanted to match that with the Plantation Shutter and use our own mid rail at the same matching point as that one here. So below the mid rail you can see I've got the split tilt rod, so this gives me great flexibility, so I can open and close the blades just depending on what the mood is, and give myself really good flexibility with the control of the light. I just want to show you this little Plantation Shutter here on the side. This one here is called a direct mount, so you can see there's no frame that goes around the outside. And I'm going to talk about frames when we look at some of the other videos, but that shutter there is just a little direct mount because it's so small. See how small those blades are already? Then I didn't want to make them narrow again, so I've just done a direct mount Plantation Shutter with this one here. Now there might be one thing that you've missed, because there's a street light at the front of my house, and I'm a bit of a light sleeper. We've actually installed this roller blind here. This is the Sanctuary plaster fabric, and this is the Pelmet 95 with the silent bottom bar. So if you do this, I'd like you to use the silent bottom bar, and I'll explain that when I get into the kids' room. So we've got the blind hooked in through the Wi-Fi hub, but we've also got a remote control here. So I'll just lower that blind down. So, hey Siri, close master bedroom blind.
Okay, the master bedroom is closing.
So as I said, with the silent bottom bar, because it's got those little bumpers there, the bottom rail actually doesn't get hooked up on any of the hinges as it goes down there, and that's really, really important. Of course, we're also protecting the Plantation Shutters so they don't, they're not getting banged by the bottom rail, they're not getting knocked there. So I think that's quite nice. I'm going to show you a photo of what this window looked like previously when we go into my study, but let's move on. When we look at this Plantation Shutter, again we can see a split tilt rod. So that gives me really good flexibility again. I can keep that top section closed, or I can hinge them, open the blades wherever I like. So this layout here is a layout number C. So you can see it was too wide of the opening to do a layout A or B. So the next layout that matched the window, because if I open this up, you can see the window splits into 2 sections. So there's one section here and there's 2 sections there. So that's why we did a layout number 3. Now one thing, sorry I have my back to the camera there, one thing I'd like to point out to you as well, that this Plantation Shutter is fitted inside the window frame. So we've used the inside mount L frame, but I've only used 3 sides with the frame. So I've got the frame that comes across the top, and can you come in just a bit on the side here, Charlotte?
Yeah.
And I've got the frame that goes down the side, but you can see I couldn't bring the frame across the bottom here because that's exactly where my winder is. And in fact, I even changed these winders to these flick back handle types. If the frame was across here, then I just wouldn't be able to open the window. So I'll just show you what that looks like at the bottom. So that's exactly the Plantation Shutter there makes up the bottom of the window frame. But as you can see, when I open it, then I've got full access to that winder. Now, just in this room as well, this is a good example to show you what a demold is. And this part of the Plantation Shutter is called the stile. And every time we have 2 panels that come together without a T-post, then we put a demold on the right-hand panel. So what that means is that we've got to close the the left-hand panel first, and then we close the right-hand panel, and you can see that demold actually covers the gap between the two styles. And it's really forgiving when you're installing the Plantation Shutters, so it makes them easy to get them nice and square, and just the fact that that gap is being hidden there, I really think it sort of pops and brings it to life. Now, there's just one other little thing that I'd like to show you while I'm looking at it about it, is that little part there is called an L striker plate. And when you do get a three-sided frame, this is a little striker plate that I fitted, and the magnet that is right there, that actually hits. So if you stay there, Charlotte, and I close that panel, can you see how the magnet has hit that striker plate, and that's exactly what's holding it closed?
Yeah.
So it's really nice and simple to do. Again, if you do want the demold to be on the left-hand panel, then just tell us that in the notes section. But by factory default, it does come on the right-hand panel, but if you want it on the left, just write that on the notes. You know, demold on left-hand panel, and we'll know what you mean. So anyway, let's move on. I want to thank Charlotte for doing the filming of this video for me. This is my study here at home. Now, before I show you this Plantation Shutter here, I just want to show you some photos of what the house looked like before, just so you can get a better idea. So if you can see those swags and tails there, Charlotte, that was the window coverings that was there previously, and you can see that's where the mid-rail of those, or that mullion of those windows were. So you can see with the bulk of that window covering, I really just lost so much of the great part of the window with the trees and the sky, you know, across the top there. So by fitting the Plantation Shutters, I really feel I've opened this window up, and of course I don't have the problem with this covering sort of either being in the up or down position. So with the Plantation Shutters, as you can see, because it's street facing, I got lots of flexibility in the way that I wanted to open and control the light and control the privacy. So if this works, now this is the room that we're in right now. As I said, I moved into this house about 6 or 7 months ago, Charlotte, was it?
Yeah.
And we had all these green walls, and when we go out to the open living area there, I'll show you what the green walls look like, but obviously as you can imagine, they had to go. So we had the painters in, and we've done a lot of work here in the house, but I haven't finished a few things as well, so I'm going to point those out for you so you can see. Now, that was also a Roman blind with this massive bulkhead, and you can see that in the photo there, we can just barely see the top of the fence. But when we look at the Plantation Shutters now, can you see how we can see so much more of the top section of glass? And of course, with these Plantation Shutters, because the neighbour, this street is on a bit of a slope, so the neighbour's kind of looking straight down into my study here. So with the Plantation Shutters, we're able to control the level of privacy that we wanted in this room. You can see that we still get really good natural light that comes through. So this layout is also called a layout C, and it's also got 2 panels. So this is what we call panel number 1, and this is what we call panel number 2. And again, I've used the 3-sided frame because I just had to pay respect to that winder that was there and not block the way of that winder there. So let's keep moving. I'm going to take you into Charlotte's room right now. So I hope you've made your bed, Charlotte.
Yep.
Have you made your bed?
Yes.
Excellent. So with this window covering here, this is really my go-to products for bedrooms in particular, but I think it looks fantastic through the rest of the house. This house, I was really happy with the outcome of the Plantation Shutters, and particularly, you know, the Australian-made Plantation Shutters, which I fitted here. But this is a inside-mounted sunscreen blind, so you can see there are actually 2 blinds here. So that's the inside-mounted sunscreen blind, and that fabric is called Solutia in the white. So you can see it offers daytime privacy. We get heat protection because that's west facing. We get eye comfort, but the most important thing is we get daytime privacy here for Charlotte when she's in her bedroom. And of course we get lots of natural light, as you can see. This blind here is one of the 12 volt roller blind motors. It's fitted in this Pelmet 95 system, and it's also got these silent bottom rails which I used in my bedroom. Can you show that bottom rail there, Charlotte? So for those of you that like to keep your window open at night time, then if the wind is banging, you can see that that doesn't bang and make a horrible noise with the bottom rails there. That fabric is the Lanesque fabric, which is a fabric that comes from Shaw's. That's the Pelmet 95 system, and I'm going to show you a little bit more of the house, and I'm going to talk about that Pelmet a little bit more. A roller blind that was here in this, a yellow roller blind that had the swags or some frilly sort of look on the bottom. I don't remember seeing those for ages. I think once again a 2-panel plantation shutter has just fixed this up. It's made of the PVC product, but I haven't done a split tilt rod on this plantation shutter here because the blades generally just stay like that, and I don't really think the kids touch it that often. So we've just got the plantation shutter fitted in here, just like that. So let's go and have a look at the toilet, because that's got a 4-sided frame. I don't know, can we all fit? Does that look okay if I stand here, Charlotte?
Yeah.
Cool. So this here also has a split tilt rod. It's a single panel because that width is not so wide, so we did want to do 2 panels. Obviously it's suitable for 1 panel here, but this is actually a 4-sided frame. So because I didn't have the winder at the bottom, this one's a sliding window. So you can see that's the inside mount L frame here, and it also extends across the bottom. It's at the top and it's also on the left-hand side. So that's what we call a 4-sided frame. And I just wanted to show you this. I wanted to show you the view. These raised garden beds that I've still got to finish in the house here. But again, that's the St. Lucia fabric. I found it to be very popular, and it's also really softens a bedroom. It doesn't have the synthetic look like a traditional sort of 2x2 sunscreen fabric has, and that's the Lanesque fabric in a colour called Dove with the Pelmet 95. So if you watch me on the Pelmet 95 videos, you'll see that I'm actually able to bring the Pelmet wider than the architraves. So can you see how I've got the look of the wall going straight into the fabric? Just because I've been able to extend the Pelmets a little bit wider. So I think that's a really quite a nice look. Again, that's got the silent bottom bars there, so it doesn't make any horrible noise. If I was just to push that bottom rail or that little bumper to the side there, because you need to be able to move these so they line up with the part of the window frame that's going to make contact. But if I don't have them, you can see how horrible that sound is. And that just goes through the whole house so no one can sleep. So I really like these silent bottom bars, and just stops that horrible bump, particularly, you know, for the Queenslanders that love to have your windows open in the middle of the night. So I think really good combination of blinds. Again, an inside mounted daytime blind or sunscreen blind, and then an outside mounted blockout. So when this blockout comes down, then we can cover the whole architraves, and we really provide as much darkness as we can in this room, and really a lot of privacy. What we're going to do is we are going to look at this room here now, but I wanted to show you what the room looked like prior. So, and just sort of get you to understand why I did the plantation shutter. So that's the room as it was beforehand, and again you can see the bulk of these Roman blinds, and they were really heavy to lift them up and down. Obviously you can see now why the green wall had to go. So that's gone to Snowy Mountains half strength, and the Mystique sheer curtain that I've installed is across these doors. So we're going to go into this room now and show you. Again, that's east facing, so we get a lot of morning sun that comes in from there. And of course these blinds here are kind of really opened or closed. There's kind of no halfway. So with the plantation shutters, again, we're able to fit them inside the window frame, so we're able to take away a lot of this bulk, and I think that we've come out with a really good result with the plantation shutters. So this is the Mystique fabric, which is the fabric that we bring in through Sonata Furnishings. So it comes directly to us from Turkey. This is the light grey colour, and this one here is an S-fold, and it's a centre open. So you can see my doors, or the French doors here, open up from the middle. So you push that one to the side, and then we push that to the side, and you see this is where we're going to do the outside curtains in that area there. Okay. The track that I've used up there is wall mounted. Can you actually come in a little bit closer, Charlotte?
Yeah, sure.
And I've used the extension brackets, which means I've had to bring the track forward so that the fabric was able to come over the top of these handles here. Of course, that's the standard track. Now, I would have loved to have gone up to the ceiling, which is generally my go-to place for sheer curtains, but because the cornice was so big, it would have brought the whole curtain sort of into the room about another that far, which we really didn't want to have. So I think that this S-fold curtain has come up really well. It's a nice thick sort of heavy fabric, but you can see we still kind of maintain this beautiful soft view out through the curtain. I think it's come out really good. So when we look over to here, Charlotte, these two plantation shutters are exactly the same, so I'm just really going to talk about this plantation shutter. Again, as you can see, there's no break in the glass. See the way the glass goes from the top to bottom? So the two golden rules with plantation shutters is less is more, and you have to follow the window. Whatever the window does, that's what the plantation shutter has to do. So again, following the window, we had to do a three-sided frame because again, we've got these winders back into play, and I did the split tilt rods on this window here. So we can close the bottom half, you know, and we can open this top section depending on how much sort of eastern sun is coming here into this room. So we think that that's kind of finished that off really well with the plantation shutters. Now, just while we're here, those architraves are going to go to vivid white. And once I paint those, the last thing that I have to do to finish the installation of this plantation shutter is just cork this gap. And what I mean corking is with no more gaps, and I just have to seal this gap down the side there so you can't see the packers and the screws that I've used for the installation process there. So that once I finish the painting, then I'll cork them up and then finish it right off and the shutters will pop. So let's go into the laundry. This again is a plantation shutter. I didn't do a split tilt rod because they're either all opened or all closed, and that's again the three-sided frame with this plantation shutter. It's really nice and easy to install, and I think it's come out with a fantastic look. The plantation shutter in the PVC doesn't get affected by the moisture or the steam. They come with a 10-year warranty against that, so that's why, particularly in the wet areas, that I've used PVC. Before we go back and have a look at the front room, Charlotte, I just wanted to show some of the parts here of the plantation shutters. That's a blade that we use, which is the blade you can see through this house. So you can see that it's aluminium reinforced for extra strength. And these are the styles that are used. So that's the style with the demold. And again, you can see that's aluminium reinforced, and that's the normal style, which goes on the other side there. Once again, aluminium reinforced. Now we have a number of mounting options. I'm going to explain those in different videos, but that's a U-channel system for internal wall cavities. That's the inside mount L frame. That's the outside mount L frame, which I'm going to explain in the different videos. And we've also got the Z frame here. So if you've got a square set recess, you can use the Z frame in here. So let's go and finish the video off in the front room. Why did I install the PVC plantation shutters? Well, we have made a move to those at work this week, obviously to support Australian manufacturing during this really difficult time. But at the same time, we've got a really good quality product. And when we moved into this house in September, then I measured the plantation shutters when we had a 2-week break between the last inspection and the move-in. And the reality was that I really just didn't want to have to wait 8 weeks to get the plantation shutters in from China. So I was really happy with the PVC product. So I just want to show you this window here. And again, this did have the big Roman blind, and the Roman blind came down to, close that off. The Roman blind sort of came right down to about here. So again, we lost all these parts, the glass, which I think is always the best part of the glass, and the window here. Again, mid-rail in this Plantation shutter because the window had a mid-rail just there. So, and that's the same 3-panel configuration. So that's exactly what I did at my house. If you've got any questions, or if there's anything else that you'd like to know, or if you'd like me to help you with the Plantation shutters in your house, well, you can send an email to sales@iseekblinds.com.au, or you can ring us on the iseekblinds hotline, and we'd love to come back to you and help you with the Plantation shutters. So thanks for watching.